Breaking news coming in. Indian skipper MS Dhoni has announced his retirement from Test cricket. Says he wants to concentrate on ODIs and T20 cricket. Well, this has come out as quite a surprise, especially in the middle of the Australia series after drawing the Test match at Melbourne. Of course, there were lots of questions on MS Dhoni's tenure as the Test captain itself. Many had felt that he should have been taken off as captain perhaps a couple of years ago itself after the whitewashes in England and Australia in 2011. But ultimately, MS Dhoni has taken the call himself and has decided to quit Test cricket. Remember, this is just a retirement from Test cricket. And the BCCI has also reacted to this, saying that they respect the decision of Dhoni to retire from Test cricket and thank him for his enormous contribution. Virat Kohli now will be the captain of the Indian team for the fourth and final Test match against Australia, the one that will be played in January, from 6th of January in Sydney. Saurav Ganguly, former India captain, with me. Saurav, first of all, your initial reaction, what do you make of this decision? It's come as a bit of a surprise, really. Not anyone was expecting it, especially in the middle of the Australia series.
Yeah, I'm very surprised to hear that that he's retired from Test cricket, that too on the third Test, and still one more Test match to go. I really don't know what sparked off this decision to retire from Test cricket. But Dhoni was also very pensive during this Test match. You know, I've been watching Dhoni closely right throughout, and it was a different Dhoni at the Test match, and I think there were a lot of things going in his mind during the course of the Test match, and I'm surprised though at the end of the Test match when he announced his decision, but I'm sure a lot of things were on his mind.
What do you think drove him to this decision? Of course, India has lost yet another series abroad. Dhoni very, very narrowly, I mean, India could have lost this Test match and he would have equaled the worst record away with Stephen Fleming at 16 losses away. I mean, there's a lot obviously to be asked of his Test captaincy, but what do you think drove to him to this decision now at this juncture?
It's very hard for me to say that, Shivani, because I've just got to know the news now. I just left the MCG and I've reached back to my hotel. I was there at the MCG when Dhoni was obviously on the phone. I'm sure back to India, back to the board. But I don't think it even struck to us that he was taking this decision. I made Ravi Shastri after the game finished, and he didn't even mention that. I don't know whether he himself knew that or not. Yeah. I'm sure he must have known it, because when you make such decisions, you announce it in the dressing room. So that's the way it is. And if he wants to quit Test cricket, play one-day cricket, and then that's the way he wants his cricket to go.
Even in this series, there were questions. Remember, Saurav, after the first Test match, which Dhoni didn't play at Adelaide and India came close to a win, we said maybe it's time to make Kohli the captain, and you said that, not before the World Cup. It's not going to happen before the World Cup. Before I take further reactions from our experts, Dhoni spoke after the draw at Melbourne, and I believe we have his response when he spoke after the Test match was drawn. He and Ashwin, of course, batted out the remaining overs, 15-odd overs, to secure the draw for us. Can we just play out that bite of Dhoni when he spoke after the match today? All right, we'll get that reaction from Dhoni very, very quickly. Even after the draw, no indication that he was going to quit. Ravi Shastri was speaking to the host broadcasters as well, and no indication there as well. Boria, your reaction as well at MS Dhoni quitting in the fashion that he has?
I think it's a good call, because I think every cricketer realizes when time is up. Mahendra Singh Dhoni realizes that in Test match cricket overseas, he's not doing anything that will serve the team. I mean, yes, in the middle of the series you can say it's surprising, but it's a new year, it's a new beginning for India. Everybody knows Virat Kohli is in the saddle. He's done very well as a captain. He's shown even today that without him this team he's the central figure in this team. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is tentative. He's not good enough as a Test match batsman overseas. So I think it's a good call. He's a champion one-day player. India needs him in one-day cricket, and perhaps his Test match cricket would have rubbed off on his one-day cricket as well. I think it's a good call for himself, because it would have been unfair or perhaps difficult to drop him from the Test match scenario. So it is much easier and much better for every concerned that Mahendra Singh Dhoni has decided to do this. and hand over the mantle to Virat Kohli. I think it's a very good call, because sooner than later, after Sydney, he would have been dropped, and I'm sure he was seeing that on the wall. So to give it up himself, I think it's a very good call.
So, you know, in other words, basically time had run out, Saurav, isn't it? Time had run out for MS Dhoni. You have been saying that for a long time, but it didn't seem like it would happen in this fashion. Most experts agreed that he's too jaded as a captain. It was time for us to pass over the reign to someone like Virat Kohli. It couldn't be worse than this. That was the thought behind it, isn't it? We're continuing to lose series and test matches abroad. There's hardly any improvement. So, you know, a change wouldn't have hurt us, and time had run out for MS Dhoni. As simple as that.
I'm not sure whether time had run out for MS Dhoni, Shivani, because yes, there has been criticism. There have been people around the world saying that yes, he's not up to the mark in Test cricket. But I wasn't sure whether time was out, and I still not sure if he wouldn't have quit, he would have been asked to leave the captaincy. I don't know why he's taking the decision. I personally felt that even if he had quit captaincy, he should have continued to play Test cricket as a batsman and a keeper. I think he would have scored a bit more runs for India, because it was a lot of hard work for him as a keeper, batsman, captain. It doesn't get easy, especially when you keep losing overseas. But that's a decision he has made, and we'll have to respect that.
You feel that even if he had quit from captaincy, he would have found a place in the team, in the playing 11, Saurav?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, maybe one more series to see how he goes. And I feel if he would have concentrated on his batting in Test cricket, he would have got runs in Test cricket. But in the later stages of his Test captaincy, you could see that he had too many things on the plate. I don't think any wicketkeeper batsman in the world has captained his country for such a long time, especially in the Test format. So it was Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and you could see that pressure more went away, because that's when the real test was. India, with the ball turning, spinning, having wicket balls, it's never a problem captaining. But when you go away from the overseas into overseas conditions, life gets a lot difficult. So I'm a little surprised by his decision to retire. I wouldn't have been surprised with the decision of quitting captaincy, but he's a mature person. He's been captain of India for a long time. He's played a lot of cricket, and let's respect the decision.
Right, certainly the decision to quit Test cricket in its entirety is surprising. The timing of it is also very surprising. As a captain, perhaps you saw this coming after this series in Australia, another series lost, you know, things just not getting better for Indian cricket away especially, and Dhoni has that dubious distinction of losing 15 Test matches away from the subcontinent. But Saurav, do you think the World Cup has anything to do with this? When he says he wants to concentrate on T20 and, you know, one-day internationals, he kind of wants to just concentrate on the World Cup coming up now.
Yeah, he could have still done that. I don't think there was any problem in doing that. He could have still done that, and he could have still done that as a batsman and a keeper. So I'm actually surprised by him quitting everything. But as I said, that's his decision, and that's the decision we should respect.
All right, Saurav, hold on. Boria, stay with us. We're going to listen to what MS Dhoni actually said after the draw at Melbourne today.
Yes, quite happy.